Today is the day I'm uploading my first video to this channel, and this is my YouTube debut. So in honor of that, we're going to be looking at some of the greatest debuts in UFC history. Number 1, Alex Pereira. Alex Pereira already had some hype before his first ever UFC fight because of his kickboxing background, where he beat Israel Adesanya twice, once by decision, another one by knockout. Joe Rogan himself even said, "I cannot overstate how excited I am about the debut of Alex Pereira, perhaps the most feared kickboxer on earth." And Alex Pereira would finally get a chance to back up the hype on November 6, 2021 at UFC 268 against 13-4 Andreas Michailidis. But right before his debut, Alex injured his ankle so bad that he almost had to pull out of his fight. He described it as the worst injury of his career, but that didn't matter, because just 18 seconds into the second round, Alex Pereira would land a flying knee straight to Andreas' face and finish the fight with some ground and pound. This fight would win Alex Pereira the Performance of the Night bonus, and it gave us a little sneak peek of one of the greatest UFC careers of all time. Number 2, Justin Gaethje. Before joining the UFC, Justin Gaethje already had some hype because he was 17-0 and a former WSOF champion, which is now known as the PFL. And on July 7th, 2017, Justin Gaethje would make his UFC debut against Michael Johnson, who had wins over Edson Barbosa, Tony Ferguson, and a knockout win over Dustin Poirier. Both Michael Johnson and Justin Gaethje were some of the most violent fighters in the UFC, and that's exactly what this fight was, because in round 1, Justin Gaethje came out aggressive, putting the pressure literally the whole first round. The whole first round was non-stop swinging from Justin Gaethje, and he was piecing Michael Johnson up, but he also got caught multiple times, and towards the end of the round he actually almost got finished, and I don't even know how he managed to survive that. But even after almost getting knocked out, Justin Gaethje didn't care, because he was still putting the pressure, not caring if he got hit or not. I can't even explain how good this fight was and every single detail that happened, so if you want to watch the full fight, it's already uploaded to YouTube and I highly recommend watching it. Both fighters were so exhausted, and 4 minutes and 48 seconds into the second round, Justin Gaethje would win the fight by knockout after landing all these knees that connected straight to Michael Johnson's face. Both fighters would be rewarded $50,000 for Fight of the Night, and Justin Gaethje earned an extra $50,000 for Performance of the Night. This fight was so good that it would go on to win Fight of the Year, and this fight would foreshadow how violent Justin Gaethje's career would be. Number 3 is Ronda Rousey. This one could be made into an entire video, but I'm just going to keep it short and simple. Ronda Rousey's UFC debut was actually the first ever WMMA fight that took place in the UFC. And a WMMA fight in the UFC happening at all was a huge milestone, because Dana White himself said in quotes, "Women will never ever fight in the UFC." But this was made possible because while Ronda Rousey was fighting for Strikeforce, the UFC's biggest competitor around the early 2010s, the UFC would actually just end up buying them, which meant that the fighters from Strikeforce would now fight in the UFC. And obviously one of those fighters was Ronda Rousey, who was a star in Strikeforce. She was a champion and undefeated, and she headlined one of the most viewed Strikeforce cards of all time. She had so much star power, and that basically forced Dana White to make a decision, and that was to give her a chance in the UFC, and she did not disappoint. Ronda Rousey would make her UFC debut on February 23rd, 2013 at UFC 157 against Liz Carmouche for the Women's Bantamweight Championship. The first round of this fight started off by Rousey putting the pressure, closing the distance, and aiming for the clinch. But Carmouche defended it so well, she even managed to get Rousey's back, almost submitting her. Rousey was able to escape and gain top position, land some punches, and transition into her signature armbar, winning by submission 4 minutes and 49 seconds into the first round, becoming the first ever women's champion in the UFC. Ronda Rousey's performance was so good that it completely changed Dana White's mind, and she went on to become one of the biggest stars for the UFC, even up there with Conor McGregor, meaning she was one of the main reasons we have WMMA in the UFC today, which has led to some of the greatest moments ever in the sport. Number 4, Anderson Silva. Anderson Silva would make his UFC debut on June 28, 2006 against Chris Leben, who at the time was 19-1 with 14 of those wins coming by finishes. He was undefeated in the UFC with a record of 5-0. Chris Leben was a fan favorite because he had insane power and he always put on entertaining fights. This was a tough first test for Anderson Silva, who had a pretty good start to his MMA career, where he fought in a few different promotions with a record of 17-4. But as soon as this fight started, it was over. Right away, Silva started piecing Leben up. He landed a head kick and then he dropped him soon after with a few punches. Silva wasn't able to finish the fight there and Leben managed to get up, but it didn't matter because just a few seconds later, Silva landed a knee straight to Leben's face, knocking him out just 49 seconds into the first round. A striking masterclass from Anderson Silva. This fight would win knockout of the night, and it would put Anderson Silva next in line for the title shot, and we all know where his career went from there. Number 5, Royce Gracie, the debut of debuts. Royce Gracie's UFC debut took place at UFC 1, the UFC's debut, on November 12th, 1993. UFC 1 was an 8-man openweight tournament where you could only win a fight by finishing someone. This tournament included a bunch of martial art styles like boxing, kickboxing, karate, and even sumo, along with a few more, but the one that Royce Gracie was representing was Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. In the quarterfinals, the first round of the tournament, Gracie would go up against Art Jimerson, a boxer, and I think it's pretty obvious what happens when a boxer steps into the cage with someone that represents Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Jimerson got taken down and he couldn't do anything about it, so he just tapped. Royce Gracie wins by submission. In the semifinals of the tournament, Royce Gracie went up against Ken Shamrock, a shoot fighter. In the fight, Shamrock would shoot a takedown and failed, getting taken down by Gracie instead, and Gracie was able to pull off a rear naked choke, winning round 2 by submission. And in the finals, Royce Gracie fought against Gerald Gordu, a kickboxer, and again Gracie pulled off the submission easily with a rear naked choke, winning the UFC 1 tournament, and the reward for winning UFC 1 was $50,000, which in 1993 wasn't too bad. And that's the end of my first video on this channel, so thank you for watching. I'm going to be making at least one new video every single week non-stop, so subscribe for more UFC videos. I'm setting a goal right now, and that's reaching 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. And again, thank you for watching.